o'clock. Call the December Justice Youth and Extension Committee meeting to order. Everybody had a chance to read through the minutes of November 1st meeting and November 13th. Motion made to approve the November 1st and November 13th meeting. Second. Second from John Caleb. Any discussion or any corrections? None being heard. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Anybody for public comment? Anybody for public comment? None being heard. Rich.
Good afternoon, everybody. As far as ROIP goes, there's a general increase in activity going forward. 3 new respondents yesterday in court, so we've been getting registrations now, and I've got teen court sessions booked out into February again. So you're seeing some pickup there. Teen traffic I've got scheduled for later on this month, and last night we had the victim impact panel in this room. I have Lisa Kramer come in as a guest speaker, and then I talked about one of the traffic accidents that I covered back when I worked for Walden County, where 7 people were killed. And then we've got a video that I use off of the Prime for Life program that involves an 18-year-old girl from Fond du Lac who went partying and went drinking and ended up running over one of her friends and killed and seriously injured. She talks about in the video how that affected her life and how it affected her life. It's pretty impactful. I had 7 kids in here last night and 3 moms. Not one of those programs that required to have a parent come, but I was inviting parents. Some come, some don't. Got evaluations back on them, and they were all extremely positive evaluations. So it's a good program, and I don't know if it has any long-term effect, but if it makes you think just at one time, and you know, we talked a little bit about the decisions you make in this second may affect your entire life going forward. So, you know, I think that was kind of a big deal. Other than that, things have been going along pretty smoothly. I don't have any teen court scheduled for December, simply because there's some challenges with the senior youth center, because that's been pretty active, so getting booked in there has been, even I had to take my teen traffic that I normally have on the 3rd Tuesday and move to the 2nd Tuesday, so things have been somewhat challenging as far as getting that, so I've got a bunch of that, and I did 4 completions today. By the end of the month, I should probably have 4 more kids that will have completed their sanctions. I passed around these things just for you guys to take a look at them. So it's typical. I mean, these ones are well done, but it reflects the kind of things that the kids actually do and complete going forward. And I've been getting some real good work coming back from them lately, and I didn't want to run a whole bunch of them, but I had a fair good stack of them. And the kids have been doing a lot of research into the cause and effect of accidents, other actions. Seen an increase in vaping. My comments to the kids were yesterday, 2 of them went to court, and I said, buy your vape at Walmart and the authorized outlet. Well, no, they said, so you got them from somebody that you didn't know? Yeah. They say, have fentanyl in them? No, just tobacco. How do you know? You know, so we're going to expound upon that a little further. You know, they were knowledgeable enough to know that an extremely small amount of fentanyl would kill them, but they weren't knowledgeable enough to know that somebody could put it in your vape pen. So anyway, one of the things we gotta work on, but, you know, it's been keeping me busy here lately.
How prevalent is the fentanyl just around here?
Oh, I talked to Riley this morning, and it's not really shown up. They did find it in a drug arrest in Barron County, this last month, but nothing here yet.
That they found.
Yeah, that they found, right. You know, and I guess we all know that they probably arrest me on drug, but they're a small percentage of what's available. I saw in the news that, was Racine County, I think, this last month. They got one car and then a search, they found enough fentanyl in there to kill 5,000 people. I don't know how much that is, that's not a lot of fentanyl. And then I saw one in Waukesha County where the deputy was doing a search for the car and inadvertently touched some fentanyl, didn't have his gloves on. He ended up going to the ER. As he went down fairly quickly. So it's not something that one wants to play games with. You know, if there was some way we could stop it going north to Highway 29, that would be great, but that's not gonna happen.
Does,
Yeah.
does anyone, excuse me, does anyone that ingests fentanyl really die?
Well, no, because fentanyl is a legal drug and used for medical purposes, but it's used in microscopic amounts. It's an opiate, you know. The trouble is, when it's used illegitimately, there's no quality control on it, just like there's no quality control in anything else. So, you know, no, everybody, it's a legitimate drug if used in accordance with prescription. Scares the heck out of me.
Yeah, I didn't want to use it legally.
I see on the agenda, it's got, our IT coordinator department head. You wanna weigh in on that?
Yeah, do you wanna give, like the same background information
Sure.
you gave me?
Basically, it's kind of up in the air of who my supervisor is right now, and I can't really lay out who it should be, but I can kind of lay out who it probably should not be. Basically, my thought process is it should not be the court, whoever happens to be the court. It should not be the district attorney's office, nor should it be human services, because those are all agencies that refer clients to me. And I don't believe that they should have supervisory input over how those teenagers are handled. That's the idea of teen court, is that it remains totally confidential and totally independent of the court system. Historically, when I started, Andy Alvarado was a supervisor. And then and Charmaine had the budget, and she had, basically signed off on my timesheet. Well, Charmaine became more and more overwhelmed, and somehow or another, the budget ended up going to the district attorney's office. And my timesheet ended up going to Crystal. Other than that, you know, it's kinda, I'm one of those people that probably should have a full-time supervisor assigned to me specifically, you know, because I need a lot of supervision.
Sure you want to admit that?
But, you know,
He actually said.
Yeah.
yeah.
So what's your take?
Well, can I read you Lynn's take first? Okay, so Rich had come to me, I coordinated a meeting with Lynn. Her opinion is that the reporting relationship should revert back to the administrative coordinator. In discussions with Rich, the only information that should be shared with the court system or DHS is if the person completed the program or not. So I'm fine with that, I just have a couple concerns. Number one, should the AC be directly supervising staff? But number two, what kind of support would I offer this person other than general policy personnel support? You know, if Rich needed resources or something like that, I'm not an expert in teen
I wouldn't think that you would have to, basically, you know, like, probably everybody in here knows I've operated pretty independently since I started here, you know, and I think it would be more my job to keep you informed, rather than
I was just gonna ask you, what was Andy's role when you started?
basically nothing.
Signing time.
Yeah, other than time sheet, I think in the entire time I worked there, other than when I bumped into Andy in the hall, I probably didn't see him more than twice. So, you know, it's like, I feel as though I know what I'm doing, I know what the program is, you know, I don't really work with anybody on my schedule because team quarters at night, so a lot of the things I have at night, so that carries over and I balance out. And the only thing Andy told me at the time is try not to go over 29 hours a week. And that's what I've kinda held to a couple of times now since, this debacle with drug court, I've run over that because of other duties, but not very often, so.
Yes, I have no issue with you doing it now. My question comes in, at some point in time, Rich says, you know, I've had enough of this. And now you get somebody in here that isn't as well versed as Rich is, and do need the support and to learn it and catch on. I mean, that's gonna pile much more stuff on your plate.
Oh, it's not a matter of shouldn't, there's no law or anything like that, it's just that, you know, how the, kind of the hierarchy, it'd be nice if there was someone in between me and the general staff.
Which is typically your department heads.
Right.
I think, you know, as a general rule, I've done a pretty good policy and procedure manual, which I have to update here shortly, but if somebody new comes in, they should be able to pick up that manual and go through each section and go, okay, this is what we do. Would somebody actually do that? That remains to be seen, you know, I don't know, I guess that's something you'd have to weed out the hiring process.
You have a job description?
That's a very good question.
Well,
you know, we looked for that the other day and I couldn't find it, so.
Rich, how are you? I guess this is probably my fault for not knowing this, but are you a true county employee? Are you partially a state employee through this program?
No, I'm totally county.
You're totally county.
Yeah. The original program was funded through, out of Bremer grant, and then eventually paid over with totally county.
Other ideas from you and Lynn? I mean,
No, Lynn's suggestion is me, and if courts, district attorney, HHS are out, I would.
If it comes to that point, then we'll do it.
I'm not worried about me, I'm worried about the person under me, who has no one to go to but me. I'm not worried about me.
she's worried about the fact of lighting up. Number one, she don't know nothing about the program, or per se, not trying to say you don't know anything about it, but you don't know the ins and outs. And number two, you don't have the time with everything on your plate to be support staff for someone in this position.
But Rich just told us he never seen Andy but twice the whole time. I think he's more than capable.
Well, and so do I.
Yeah, that's not the.
And my thought pattern is, like I said, at the point in time when Rich decides to say he's had enough, that we bring somebody new in that isn't as well versed as he is, and gonna be looking for direction.
The HR person take this, that could that be an in-between?
That's way outside her wheelhouse.
Okay.
Agree.
I don't wanna overthink this and spend 20 minutes deciding a yes or no. I don't think it's gonna be an issue for Ashley to do it or put it in that area, even though you don't wanna do it.
No, it's
Not
not,
saying you don't
it
wanna
is not
do
that
it,
I don't
not
wanna do
that-
it,
I
I
understand
think
where
that the
you're coming
staff,
from.
they should have someone to
Someone
go
else
to
you go to.
before me.
But
You're looking more at the optics,
Well, no,
No,
you know,
you gotta have that.
Well, it's-
yeah,
go to.
no, I see, yeah.
who would be the middle person who would go to that?
so like right now,
question.
if he had issues, he would go to the GA and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, blah, blah, blah. That person would then come to me if need be. So instead of,
So can we do it that way?
well, but he's saying he should
Well, we
report to
couldn't,
the
the
GA.
Right,
concern
right.
is
Okay, I see what you're saying.
the
Yes.
DA having the oversight over the program.
Right, right.
Yeah, but even if,
Because technically, when somebody refers a juvenile into the youth justice program, or, RYP, they shouldn't have, the only thing that they should have subsequent to that is when I go back to them and say, this person completed all their sanctions, this person did not complete all the sanctions, so.
Rich, if you get in that rock and a hard hole now, who do you go to for backup or information now?
Never been in that situation, but when I had my knee surgery, I went to ask. You know, so,
Not for covering duties, but for,
Right.
for general
Right.
questions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I was only out for 2 weeks, so it was, you know, and it isn't like, actually, I was out for a month or a month and a half, that there is no other individual that can come in and, I mean, anybody can do it, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to do what I do, but, you know, I wouldn't really walk in tomorrow and say, okay, I know everything that's going on, but. And, you know, technically, what supervisor, what department head knows the specific duties of everybody under them? You know, they might have a general knowledge of what's going on, but when I was assistant manager at Walmart, I sure didn't know specifically how the guys unloaded the trucks or.
Oh,
Well, I was just gonna make a comment, I don't know, would like a person under Ashley, the juvenile clerk? I'm just throwing out from what wouldn't affect the programs, and I think the juvenile clerk is actually the clerk of court.
Yeah, cause they wouldn't have any input over the.
And it's directly related to these
yeah, it
programs.
is. Would that work for you, Rich?
You know, I don't have an issue with anybody, really. You know, to be honest with you, it's,
Right, but like, for example, when we did the court-wide training, Rich inadvertently fell through the cracks because it was unclear who his supervisor was.
and didn't get notified.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right, so we do need to, and if it's me, that's fine, but I think Terry had a great suggestion.
I was just gonna say, that's kinda why I asked, if, you know, what you thought of that, because,
You know, I really don't have a problem with anybody,
and that is a department head, correct?
Yes, Lori is a.
Yeah, I see no issue with that.
Can I offer an idea? So part of the.
Assigned to you.
What's that?
It's assigned to you.
Oh,
It's a long team.
Oh, no. So, part of our 2024 TAG grant, I have come up with an idea of creating a criminal justice services department. I mean, we gotta go through the whole process of trying to get that started. But he is diversion with the youth. And the whole point of this criminal justice services, which I got the idea from Chippewa Falls, and all of their diversion goes through their criminal justice services. Since he would be diversion, it could make sense that he would then work with me, and then fall under that department. But this is all speculation.
I see your point, but right now, that isn't here, Rich is, so.
Correct. I mean, basically, it's somebody that at this point that signs off on my time sheet, and I mean, for time off, I've never been, real strict at it. I kinda tell Charmaine I'm not gonna be in tomorrow. You know, so, that's how we worked that, and I kinda worked around my schedule, and days I need to be there, I am.
What Terry said did make sense to me. That's something, we pass the personnel actually.
And I guess Laurie would have to get involved, you know, with the department, so she don't get mad at me.
Any more mad.
You can work for me, but then it wouldn't last.
No,
You just need to just move it, his department has to be the clerk of courts and the motion is to pass the personnel.
So Ashley would no longer be involved in this then?
No, she is now.
I'm not now, no.
No, I mean, but I mean, you still would not oversee.
Well, she's actually everybody in the courthouse, so.
So Rich's direct point of contact with any issue he's having would become Lori. Yes.
I have a motion on the floor,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Kruger, is there any further questions? None being heard, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
alright,
Good for you, Rich.
alright, good for me.
Who wants to talk about recovery court?
I can tell you where we're at, and Drew probably got more information as far as the grants and stuff like that. We still got our same two respondents. One is in treatment for the second time. My information in making contact with them, and that individual's doing very well in treatment right now. Definitely, big issue with methamphetamine. Just can't seem to break the hold that meth has on that person. Been doing meth since they were 17. So it's a big challenge. This is our second time in treatment for us, in a relatively short period of time. The other person we have in is doing exceptionally well. At the point of having custody back for her kids, close to getting her driver's license back again, very close to being employed. Clean now for 60 days. And then it was just a real minor use, but got straightened out right away. Making progress very, very well. That individual really struggled first getting into the program, and it takes a while, but it seems like, that's finally catching, doing her a lot of it. I see good things coming forward with her going forward. The challenge is, and we're not getting referrals, and Jonathan, you talked about that. And I've reached out to a number of people about the referrals, and they don't wanna do a referral until there's a court, so they have that level of leadership. Which I certainly understand that, and resolve some of the challenges going forward. And I think that if we could get a coordinator, we get what was the thing that you had, a criminal justice service provider, or whatever title we put there. But I think we got that level of leadership, right? We resolved a good deal of our problems going forward. I've reached out to a couple of people on the team beforehand, Jeremy Jacobs included, and they're willing to sit down at the table and iron out whatever difficulties that may occur. We've talked about some other diversionary programs, and my question always is, and I'm sure your question is also, is one of the programs, how are they laid out, who would supervise them, who pays for them? So that's still up in the air. Where our current recovery court, we do have that laid out through the CAD grant requirements and through our policy and procedures binder. So I think right now, if we could iron out that problem with the coordinator, or the leader, or whatever we title it as, I think that would take care of a lot of our issues going forward. I reached out to Riley and the sheriff's department, they're good to go. When the sheriff sent on his letter, he also stopped our weekend drug testing in the jail. And Riley is gonna talk to him and see if we can get that started up again, because that, with me only working generally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, technically they could use meth after I test them on Wednesday morning, and it wouldn't show up, they'd be clean again by Monday. So I'm likely they're gonna do that, cause once they use, they'll use Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday also. But, you know, conceivably they can get away with it, and that frequent, constant testing goes a long way for keeping them on track. And even past participants, and I talked to one of our participants this last week, and she said she had never made it if it wasn't for that constant testing that going forward. This particular individual has been drug-free for many, many years now, so. Based on that's pretty much the report I've got as far as the day-to-day operations of it. We're still hanging on and keeping things together, and the main thing right now is to focus on the participants that are there and to keep them sober and keep them successful and moving forward. My main focus is on MRT, that's where I'm trained, and that the advanced MRT, and that the goal of that is to change the thought process from the criminal thinking aspect to what the rest of us are thinking, you know, how we process things. And the go-to thing for a lot of addicts is the minute life throws you a curveball, and we all get those every day, you had them today, that's how they deal with it, and they go back to that drug, and that's how they deal with it, rather than like the rest of us, we find alternatives, we find a way to work within reasonable bounds to work out a problem. So that's what the idea behind the MRT is to deal with that aspect. And you can see, I've seen when I'm doing that class, the prospect there's 12 steps to it, but it's not a 12-step program. It's a goofy way of saying that. But it takes to about step 5 or 6, and they don't do that in 5 or 6 weeks, it's a long process. But all of a sudden you can see, man, I'm starting to get this. But they do get it.
Is there a reason for stopping the testing?
Pardon me?
Is there a reason for stopping the testing?
I don't know, maybe somebody could address that more. The sheriff sent a letter that until the issues were resolved with drug court, as far as the coordinator and some of the challenges, his department employees would no longer participate. So that carried over, and I didn't know if I stopped the testing, but, you know, we had to check it out. The jailers checked, and they said, yeah, they were gonna stop the testing also. So that would be a big factor if we could get that going. So hopefully Riley talks to the sheriff tomorrow and get that going. My concern is over the Christmas holidays, there's too big a gap in there without testing, you know, because basically I'd be off on Wednesday, got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that they wouldn't have any contact with it. That would be a problem. So if anybody has any influence with the sheriff, that would be a good thing. You know, whether he participates in the program, if he could just get the testing done. And what the testing involves, it's not a big deal, you don't have to do anything, it's a mouth swab. I give them the form is 6 blanks they have to fill out. The swab, the participant takes a swab out of the thing out of the package, then tube, they take it out of the tube, stick it in their mouth until it turns blue, stick it back in the tube, put the cap on, put the seal over it. The sheriff's department, the observer, me or whoever, sticks it in the bag, pulls the bag over, seals it, and then they give it to me when I come back to work, and I mail it in. So that's all there is involved in testing, it's not a big deal. And it's not like we're doing 12 people, we're doing one, when that individual comes back from treatment, will be on daily testing, and the other one through forensic fluids, they've got, random testing 3 times a week. But they never know, they have to call in the morning, make that phone call to the 800 number to see if they're scheduled for testing. And I think Drew's got some further information to me, so I will turn it over to him at this point.
I guess, are there any questions? About the tag grant or anything?
Well, we're just moving to that.
Okay.
Who else? Has everybody got a copy of it?
They might have to run extra.
There should have been 5 total copies.
How many?
There should have been 5 total.
I thought.
I'll hand it all to us and we'll pack it.
The testing, clients on
Yes, and I got it.
Here's that.
Yes, and I got it. Three here.
Great.
Yep.
You have it?
This has got it?
The next one.
Yeah. You wanna go ahead, Drew, and do a little explaining?
Okay, so this is the 2024 tag grant. As I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, the plan or the idea right now, and since this is just a projected budget, it can change, but we are thinking about taking the CJCC coordinator and the current recovery court coordinator, kind of combining them into one role, and it would expand the duties of both. So what that would do then is, it would be a total diversion, cause I know it was mentioned in one, county board meeting that we would like to look at more diversion tactics. And so, after having visited the Chippewa Falls CJCC team, they call it their criminal justice services. I had the idea of bringing it back here and seeing if we could try to emulate something like that. So that way it would be more than just a recovery court, and we would have more options to doing more types of diversion. And I know that's something that, Jonathan Undershins, I believe, mentioned, he would like to look into more, types of diversion, and so this is keeping our recovery court and adding diversion, so we're trying to, marry the two.
Theoretically, the best of both worlds.
In theory, yes.
Well, what does diversion mean?
So you can have like, pre-trial and post-trial diversion. It's diverting them from court, so it's like from like jail time or whatever they would have for like a sentencing. So you can have pre-trial where it would be more of, we're not going to make you plead guilty, or we're not gonna go through that trial process, but you need to, for example, Chippewa Falls has a first-time offender, and that would be a pre-diversion. So what they do is the police officer who is issuing a citation, if he sees that, hey, this is the first time this person's done anything wrong, and if it's, nothing serious, they can offer them this pamphlet. They will then send their citation to the DA and go, hey, we're gonna do the first time offender. That will get kicked over to their criminal justice services team. This person, whoever would have gotten the citation, has, I think it's 48 hours to contact them, 48 business hours. Go, hey, I need to set up a time, I need to go through this program. And so instead of paying the court fees and all of that, if they're found guilty, they pay a a lesser fee to then go through this program and hopefully not mess up again. And so that will keep their name out of CCAP, that will keep them, hopefully on the straight and narrow then. Then you have like post-trial, so I believe that's kind of how our recovery court works is they say, hey, yeah, I'm guilty, they have reduced sentences, but they also have to go through a recovery court program, and usually there's a stipulation they have to, if they accepted into the program, they would have to then complete it. So if they get terminated for whatever reason, then the original charges would get brought back. And so it's just another way to try to help people. Cause I guess, just paying a fine might not, it will hurt poorer people rather than rich people, where this is more of a mindset change. This is, you're helping them go, oh, hey, this is why it was a bad idea to do this.
Lois, RRYP is a diversion program. It takes them out of the criminal justice system and throws them more into a educational / treatment program.
And it's, you give them one shot. And so one way to prevent repeat offenders is this criminal justice services, like in Chippewa, they keep track. And so let's say they have a second offense. Police officer doesn't see anything in their system and goes, oh, hey, it's your first time here, call this number. They can either be honest, or they can go, oh yeah, I'll call the number. They do, and they go, sorry, you've already had your one shot. They send it back to the DA and says, nope, you can prosecute, and so that they will.
Considering she knows of it, there's trouble.
Sure, I'm sorry, I believe I'm done answering your question about what diversion is, and so, really that was my part of the tag grant, was coming up with that idea and, adding it in. Are there any more questions about the tag grant itself?
I don't disagree with anything, Drew has said. I think that is a great position. From my standpoint though, I'm not sure this should be part of our application, because this is the first I've heard of this. This hasn't gone through any committees. I don't wanna speak for other department heads, but I don't believe the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, or HHS has been consulted. Also the wage that was put in the application, I'm not sure where that came from. As you know, over the past 9 months or so, we have implemented a wage scale every time we have a new position that's created, or we amend a position that needs to go through Carlson's admin to be created. So I have significant concerns about that. Further along in the grant, I have concerns about things that are listed as cash match. The first thing I see is, just for instance, courtroom security, 52 weeks. Looking at timesheets, it's my understanding that courtroom security was not present for 52 weeks, maybe about half of that. So that's, anything that we're saying we can provide cash match on, we need to be sure we can. I don't know if you remember or not, but Jamie has come to this committee before saying that this grant specifically has struggled with cash match for years. So when we say that we're committing as a county to cash of $1,040 for courtroom security, when in 2023 timesheets show that he was there maybe half of the time. So further down, we're also, committing to a cash match for investigators' time. Rich alluded to this, the sheriff issued a letter saying that his staff would not be participating. I don't see that changing anytime soon, so again, we're committing to $2,191 of a cash match for the investigators' time, which we can't.
May I interject there, actually, though? In part of the sheriff's letter, he did say in the last sentence that he would work with us to get that, drug court, recovery court reestablished again and going forward. So I don't think his letter was, a permanent structure the way he issued it going forward. So I'm hoping, I get along pretty good with the sheriff's department, so I'm hoping I can maybe persuade him otherwise, or get him at least back to the table.
Yep, and I don't disagree with you, but I have concerns that the county is committing to that as a cash match when it's still up in the air. Just because whatever we can't match with cash will have to come out of levy, or, if the investigator's time isn't being there, it's levy dollars, because, yeah, he wasn't there. So, I guess, we haven't been awarded the grant yet, it's still in the process
Are
of.
them the only two, actually, that?
No, there are other. But, the main concern is the creation of this position that hasn't gone through any committees before, that this wage, I'm not sure where that wage came from, what the justification for was with that.
Actually, I haven't looked at that. Was that wage, approximately what the coordinator's wage would be if that existed, or how does that play out?
It's about $5 an hour higher.
Oh, okay. We might have to apply for that.
And also, just of note, county positions are 38.75 hours, not 40. There are some things in here that I would caution against. I don't like taking grants that we really aren't equipped to effectively, spend that taxpayer money.
Drew, maybe you can answer this. Is that subject to amendment even after it's been, stated?
Yeah, these are just projected next year's expenditures, they can always be amended. I believe this year was even amended, so it's, you're looking at a future budget, things will always change.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
I don't wanna speak out of turn. The one concern that I have just hearing about this is that I am just hearing about this. And I've worked in a lot of counties, and my understanding of how grants work is that if you're committing department heads, like diversion, for example, does not happen without law enforcement in the district attorney's office. That is the purview of those two places. And so when programs like this are designed, typically you include everybody who would be responsible for and accountable to this grant for implementing that program design. And you would design it with all of those participants. And then once you have a program designed, you would submit a design that everybody is in agreement with and committed to as part of a grant. Here's our program. And we're all, the stakeholders, and we agree to this program, and then you submit a grant, and then we're accountable, right, to the people giving us the money, because then we've committed to complying with their rules. And none of that happened here. There was an application submitted for a program that does not yet exist, that was not yet designed or put together by anybody who would have to be involved with implementing it. And then we would have to be agreeable and accountable to something we don't even know we're agreeing to. I don't want anybody in the county to get into trouble with federal funders if at the back end, some department isn't doing something that the grant commits them to doing.
So in short form, we got the cart ahead of the horse.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's exactly what it is, and that's kind of where you kind of laid it out a lot better than I would have said it, so congrats for that.
Well, I apologize, I guess I did put the cart before the horse here. I can go through and re-edit, the grant. Do we have, can I get the more accurate numbers on like courtroom security? What they actually worked for 2023, and then I can go through and reapply them. I can take out the investigator for now. I went off.
Sit down and talk to everybody, and you're gonna have to talk to everybody that you have on your
Yeah,
sheet.
okay. I went off of the 2023 numbers for that, and so looking back a few years, they were always that same way. And so I guess I wasn't aware that there was any issue since they were all identical from the last few years. And I can go through and I'll make the edits as needed. I will work with the grantors and we'll iron out the things and.
Well, here's a concern I have, then if that's the way it's done, and if we take the investigator out, for example, and then the sheriff's department, we go, hey, we've worked out some of our issues, will you come back to the table, then is there money available then for that investigator if they do come back to the table?
We can always amend the grant.
Even once we're in the process, like 6 months up the road or something?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, we have made amendments to 2023s during 2023.
Okay.
So, you know, again, no decision has been made on the award at this point.
Correct, yep, yeah, I know, I spoke to them earlier today, and they said they do need us to make some changes on our end anyway, so I can just add these changes to it, so this is actually a good time to do it.
Are they aware that a program doesn't exist, however, that
Yes.
that there's not been a designed program?
Correct, yep. That was worded in the verbiage of it, that we want to implement this in 2024.
There's nothing complete here.
No,
There's nothing accurate enough to.
There's nothing accurate, there's a lot of inaccuracies.
Yeah.
Absolutely not correct. I don't know how you can submit an application for a grant with false information on it. Sure you can.
It's false.
Somewhere down the line, that's gonna come back.
It's gonna come back and bite. Way back.
So, you know, I talked this over with, Rich and Vicky as well, and the consensus was that this needed to be brought to this committee, so you can look through it yourself. Go over, you know, I talked through with Vicky what my concerns were, and she said that we needed to be aware of that, and that, you needed this information, so when we are awarded the grant, you are fully aware of what was in the application, what the county is committing to, before we sign to accept that money for 2024.
Any idea when that time frame will be?
Usually we're approved end of December, sometime in that.
include everybody that's involved, and know everybody's committed, and
What is the deadline for this? Is there a deadline?
The application deadline was already through, but they are allowing us to they have things that we need to fix on our end. So this, I can add the budget changes and stuff like that to it before we resubmit. They didn't give us an other deadline. They were either going to give me the changes we needed today or tomorrow, they said. So I will get right on that and make the changes needed.
We'll have to come back to this committee again then?
I would say
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, then we won't meet again until January.
Well, the board chair is the signatory authority.
Need it for motion,
This was for informational purposes.
but I would say, you've kind of heard the discussion here.
Yep.
It needs to come back and be a whole lot more accurate and everybody committed and involved.
Yeah, okay.
I guess basically everybody got on this year had to push that off. Yeah. Well, now, we gotta talk to all of them, here's a week before that.
And then, more accurate figures of how many weeks you need courthouse security or how many hours. I mean, it is involved.
Right.
You can't just say 52 weeks because you're not there all the time.
Right, and I believe, I'm not even sure, I think it's for the 1 hour recovery core meeting a week. So it'd be, 1 hour for 52 weeks, but then you have vacation time, so yeah, but that could also vary on year, and that's why we have the ability to amend it. I still agree that I will go back and look at it, but also note that this is a projection anyway, so I'm fully on board, amending what I need to, but then also,
It might be a little more than 1 hour a week, Drew, because if there was a termination hearing, we have to allow a little bit for that, because that goes before the judge, and there would be security for that too. Not that we have a lot of them, I think we only had 2 last year, but it's still, we're
Okay.
figuring this, so it's not just the 1 hour per week.
right, I'm sure it would probably average to something
Yeah,
like
of course,
that, but,
then there's some weeks that we don't have it because of
yeah.
holidays or whatever.
And so then I think the best course of action would be just take like the last 5 years and see what they actually did, and then just average it. That would give you a good number. I just went back to previous, grant applications and saw what we did. And so when I put those numbers in, that was my original game plan. It's been like this for the last 4 or 5 years, I'll keep it the same, I won't change anything.
I guess it's less, if anybody's got anything different, but bring it back for the January meeting.
Yeah, I can do that.
Hey Drew, maybe get with Jamie, cause Jamie probably can give you like your information.
Perfect.
Any further questions for Drew on this?
No.
Comments? Okay, Drew, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to let me speak.
Edwin, I guess you're up.
Oh, not much to tell you guys, except that about my ADA. It's a busy office.
Get behind.
Well, maybe just a little bit. I do this, Carl, I'm gonna see you Friday for dinner, but, yeah, that was a tough loss for us.
Are you working on replacing?
Oh, yes, and some of the things that the state has its own, job personnel, and something that I need to do is just reach out to law schools and those kinds of So that's probably the biggest news, is that things are really busy. My primary job, of course, has to be prosecuting, and that's what I need to be involved in. Our numbers are much different, except there are some numbers we're never in control of. I mean, when people choose their right to go to trial, which is their right, that always is an unknown kind of number. And that's just the way it is. Calling juries in is expensive, all of those kinds of things. We do our best to try to resolve cases pre-trial, but that doesn't always happen. So anyway, I'll be at trial next week, and we've got others coming up. We had, some, and they just happen as they happen. The diversion fees, I think I do wanna just touch on that, cause our budget does include, our deferred agreement fees, and I guess maybe that might have answered some of your questions that we had before, is that our office has increased doing those. I mean, those deferred agreements are part of what Drew was talking about, and they already do happen in the district attorney's office, and since I started, they're gonna happen more and more. But it's a time-intensive proposition, and we don't really have the staff to do that, but we want to be able to offer the opportunity to not be in the criminal justice system. And so when you see that budget line, where it says some fees are, higher than we expected, and some expenses, are higher, but those diversion fees that are higher, is because we're trying to offer them, but they have to be monitored, and that becomes part of the challenge. And so the ones that we offer now, the majority are the people who are charged. So they get charged, and then we say, look, you could avoid a criminal conviction if, you do X, Y, and Z. But then we have to monitor X, Y, and Z, and that is the tough part. And then at the end of the day, they might get an amendment to a cover ordinance, or they might have a dismissal altogether. And then the other part, the diversion, is where we get a referral for a criminal charge, and we look at somebody's history, and again, this is all labor intensive, and we say, look, this person has either not had any convictions, or sometimes it might be that they haven't had convictions for a very long time. And the incident is such, it's not a huge public protection issue, where we say, look, we send them a letter, and we say, we are willing to enter into a contract with you and not charge you at all, as long as you do X, Y, and Z, but somebody's gotta monitor X, Y, and Z. And then we tickle the files, and we look at it, and we see, have they committed any crimes, and do they do X, Y, do we have the verifications, those kinds of things. And then that pre-charging agreement is, then you're not charged. And so those are things we're already doing. And so just to take off of this earlier discussion, Buffalo County is a teeny little county, smaller than Chippewa, and they have pre-charging diversion program that's been actually very successful, and an example that has, been touted around the state. And I've been in touch with their coordinator, and so, yeah, I mean, it would be good for all of us to sit down and have a discussion, actually design, what would something like this look like, have everybody on board who has to be in agreement, sheriff, do you agree, or are you gonna get mad at us for not charging people, Health and Human Services, do you have any services that we could offer to somebody, that you'd be willing to step in and help us with, that we could send to your department if we offer these things, and then design a program, and then come to you. This is what it would look like. These are all, if people are in agreement. There's some evidence to back up that it works. Here are the numbers from other counties. Present that, and then say, would you be willing to go after some money to do this kind of thing? And that way, at the front end, we're in a good position. Everybody's on board and knows what's going on. And the people who have to actually implement it are involved in putting it together. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents worth. I'm gonna get back. I gotta go shop for some cops right now, so I'm gonna go leave right now.
Thanks.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Nothing from the circuit court,
I think the report is in the.
which I got an email. Charmaine, you said, we're gonna be here.
At 5, and it doesn't look like they are. I'll go look and see.
I can check if there is.
Yeah. So I could go on with extension.
I'll just wait and see if we got it. start extension, go 2 minutes and then they want.
No, they're not here. Do you want me to check the other side? Would they have come to that side?
Maybe, cause she dropped a flash drive off with her presentation today,
Okay.
but I told her the meeting was here.
Here, okay. Yeah, I don't see anyone out there.
Okay.
Okay, extension.
I don't mind, you can move me if
Yeah.
someone comes.
Well, we'd wind up interrupting you, or is what it is, so.
That's fine. Charmaine, I did send you that.
Yep.
position, okay. So, wanted to update you on a couple things and then get some input from you. So, last, month, I think I mentioned that our food-wise programming, the coordinator, we're changing all of that around. So now I can hear the echo. So Bridget Rongner is the current coordinator for Sawyer, Washburn, and Burnett counties. Kathy Splatt was for Barron and Rusk. Kathy's retiring in July, so we are, believe it or not, working ahead and doing some planning. And so Bridget actually will start as an Area 2 administrator for food-wise, starting on Monday. So it'll be a
So
short
fast, we can say first time for
I
everybody.
know. Gosh, I wish I could tell you.
It's the first time for them out of the state.
Being efficient, I can't believe it. So anyway, so Bridget, I will be able to introduce her to you, in the next few months probably as well. But she starts on Monday and will be, learning Rusk County from Kathy's perspective and Andrea's perspective, and then her own kind of assessment. We'll be doing, a little bit more assessment of what are the needs again, like we can't just keep doing what we've been doing, what makes sense for us to do. So anyway, Bridget will be coming on board and is excited for that. And, so that's food-wise. There is I'll wait for the contract in a minute. So, Jonathan, I think you asked last time about a position, if you all could see a position, description.
Do you want that or the contract?
Position description's fine, and then we'll move to contract, that's a secondary thing, but, I did not include this in your packet, kind of purposefully. I'm happy to share it with all of you, but sometimes when information gets out there, then it gets, unfortunately, people then will be like, oh, I saw the position description, I'd like to apply for that. And it's not ready to post. This was what was posted when we hired for Mary's position. So I get a little nervous about just putting it into packets, but I'm happy to share it individually with you, or, you know, whatever you all need. I just didn't want it to get out there for people to think that something was posted and for people to start.
Lori, is there, I think this is probably a two-stage question. Number one, is this qualifications, I guess, somewhat negotiable? And on the other point of the question, are you gonna hold some kind of I'm trying to think of the word I wanna use, and it's escaping me, a visioning or a viewing or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
to talk to our leaders,
Yep.
leaders council, and see what they're looking for in
Yeah.
this position.
Yeah, that's also why I didn't wanna include it in a packet, because there are a few steps that I feel like need to happen before we are ready to post a position. I wanted you to see this as this is what was posted for Mary's position, but when we do listening sessions, that should, what we would say scope, that should scope what we're looking for. Like if we say, we're looking for someone to do cartwheels, but we don't put that in the application or the position description, then we can't look for someone to do cartwheels. So I know that's facetious, but when we look at what the needs of the community are and what leaders want and what you all want and all of that happens, that should then move into this position description before we ever post anything. So again, that's why I didn't wanna just put it in a packet, cause I didn't want you to think that, oh, this is it, this is what we're looking for. But as an example, those are kind of the qualifications that we've listed in the past. We have some wiggle room with required and preferred, for sure. I have two other ones that some other AEDs have sent me from different spots, around the state to look at as well. And then on down, Charmaine, if you can scroll down, there's a job summary that, you know, there's a lot of mumbo jumbo that I don't stuff, but then on down, it will say 4-H program educator leads, manages full range of the 4-H program, including these things. And then that area of initial programmatic focus, again, that should be, once we have these listening sessions, that would inform what those areas of that initial focus would be. So if we're saying grow 4-H programs, or we want 6 in clubs, or we want volunteers to be supported differently, or we think the 4-H Leaders Board needs to have some real clarity, or we need junior leaders, you know, whatever we're finding out is what we would then start to put in scoping the position. Does that make sense? Yeah, and then scooting on down a little bit, self-explanatory, like we're not gonna just post something and just hire, we're really trying to be thoughtful about it. On down, there's that standard summary, those essential responsibilities. When we go to do a position, like that outreach specialist is what the title is called in our system, right? We call it whatever, 4-H educator, but in our system, it's called an outreach specialist. So those percentages that are listed there too, can shift. Again, those are like kind of catch-all responsibilities, but maybe we would say for Rusk County, the identifies, promotes, and maintains external partnerships to support the outreach program. Maybe that's only 10%, but maybe delivers outreach programming should be 30%. So we'll be able to shift some of that information as well, again, once we get some information from you all, okay?
You got any time frame, any dates, anything you're looking at, some kind of listening sessions?
Yeah, so December's not a good month to do it.
It's a little full.
It's a little full. I would like to get it moving forward. I have some questions that I've been working on with the program manager to get out there. So the thing with doing listening sessions is how to capture that with not just the loudest voice that comes to the table. Because when I've done them before, it's like, oh, these 3 people that show up, here's what they say. But how do we get more input? So what I would like to do is get your all input, get the 4-H leaders input, have a community session, you know, like do all of those kinds of things in the month of January, if possible. Maybe we've done some virtually, some in person, giving people opportunities, some at night, some in the morning, all of that stuff, and really doing our due diligence to get as much information as we possibly can.
Start with your 4-H leaders first.
Yeah,
They're gonna be the best wealth of knowledge to
Yes.
what they are looking for. And everybody else, and then I guess you could bring it to us and see what they all say, but you know, they're gonna be your best benefit.
I agree, and from when my interactions with not just 4-H leaders here, 4-H leaders in various counties, there also has to be some right setting about, or some communication about roles and responsibilities of an educator and the leaders board and the leaders, like all of that gets messy sometimes. And so sometimes if I'm a 4-H leader and I say, well, this is what's important. It's like, well, you all have the ability to do that on your own. You don't need an educator to tell you you can have a bake sale, you know? Like, so what, aligning some of those expectations, I think you've heard me say over the last month or so, like trying to figure out how we can align expectations so everyone knows what's expected out of everyone. And yes, I agree. And I think 4-H leaders should have input. And how do we get all the 4-H leaders to have input too? Not just leaders board or not just these couple people.
And then, I guess that's what I'm interested to hear what their thoughts are.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could tell you what I think of Tom, Terry, and Melissa Johnson. But I wanna hear theirs. Because I don't see them or talk to them.
Sure.
So it would be a good insight.
I guess the one thing I'm gonna bring up front, and anybody else tell me I'm all black, I mean, I'm a person here, but I don't think we wanna split person, Lori, with another county.
I wouldn't want that for you either. I think so what's interesting is the size of the program in Rusk County, the used to even split it between community youth development and 4-H. And we've done some kind of assessment of all of that as well throughout the past year to say, do we really need to split it between community youth development and 4-H? You know, what's the difference and what does that all look like? And I know Connie has offered to do the youth on the board. So some things that when we've scoped this position before, I found the pictures on my phone from a board with markers and, you know, what does this position look like? It's like, it looks different than it did then when we scoped it before.
Well,
So,
I guess, that, you know, the other thing I would think, and I totally agree with John, I think, you know, first it's your leaders, and I'm not even gonna say you might have to have a couple of meetings with them, just because of getting them all in the same place all at the same time might be like pulling hen's teeth. But the other thing, I guess, and this is probably more on the state's end, is a little bit of flexibility to this person about, you know, not this cut and dried line that this is your job and this is your job. A little bit of flexibility that they can do some of this to help each other through it. What one don't understand, one does understand. That's how you're gonna make it all work, and, you know, that's gonna have to come from the state and not the individual person, because the state dictates that, so.
I would say, I mean, here, I've been reflecting over the last month, probably longer than that, but just, you know, what would I do differently for Rusk County? And I mean, I hope other people are doing that assessment too. What would I do differently next time? And, writing up a first-year plan of work so that when someone comes in, they know exactly what, based on these listening sessions, based on the communication that we're having, you know, like, this is what we have to have you focus on for the first year. Maybe doing a 30-day check-in with a few key people, a 60-day check-in, a 90-day check-in, a 6-month check-in, you know, like being purposeful with getting that kind of assessment. And I would say not just for Rusk County, but another new educator that I just hired in October. Like, how do we get that partnership assessment early and often? Another learning kind of thing for how do I partner a new educator with a seasoned educator and be purposeful with what they need to learn. For instance, when I hire someone in, for them not to just say, well, this is what I do, but hey, here's what camp looks like in Barron County. I want you to shadow them before you're doing camp in your own county.
You know, and I'll say a couple more things, and then I guess I'll shut up. Another thing I think is, no smart remarks, Tom. I think some of this, Lori, the state hands down is almost a one-size-fits-all. And I think there needs to be a little bit of, or maybe more than a little bit of, the ability for this person to be able to meld with the county and make it more their own than a dictation from the state. Because let's face it, Buffalo County is different than Rusk County, than Price County, than Burnett County. You can't make this a one-size-fits-all. It just don't work that way. And the other part of that, I think there needs to be a face here of this person. Not on a computer screen, not on a phone. There needs to be a face here.
I would have to agree, that was probably 90%.
Yeah.
They could not face to face with that often.
This might be a bad time to bring this up, but for preliminary information, could you have like an email, like you know, we get the county for benefits, if it goes called Google survey or something, is it? Could you, I don't know if that would be, get preliminary data through December, but then some of your face-to-face meetings, so like email survey to all of your target.
Oh yeah, like an open survey for people to kind of,
Yeah, and they can do it confidentially, right, was that? So they could do it
even be
confidentially.
anonymous.
I was actually thinking that too, Jonathan. I just didn't know how to word it.
And then I gave you your preliminary data in December, and then January, then you can start, then but you hit the ground running a little faster.
Could give us a
might be a good time to do it though too, Lori, cause, you know, pretty quick the kids are gonna be out for 2 weeks. So, they've got some time to, you know, for them to gather as clubs and, you know, what the leader wants may not be what the kids want in that club either, so you might have a very valid idea there.
Yeah, I'm not against it, I just have to finalize the kinds of questions we wanna ask and, the list of people to send it to, you know, I mean, we have our leaders for sure. But
Just a dumb question, Lori, why ask any questions? Why not just ask the question of what these people are looking for in a 4-H educator for Rusk County? And let them write a paragraph or let them write 2 pages. Maybe you just gotta sort through a bunch of junk to get to the vitals, but sometimes the questions that are asked in some of these surveys fall exactly between what you really want to say. And if it's open-ended to them, they may be more free will about what they say because they don't think, well, it's a question, I can't add lib to this, or I can't write a paragraph on the bottom. Where if it's one simple question, to write me a paragraph or write me a page or one sentence, then, you know, it can be deciphered from there.
yeah, I would hope that this, I like, some pointed questions to get people thinking, but also an open-ended. What else do you wanna tell us?
The question is how much technology you want. I mean, for me personally, technology is great because it makes it a lot more efficient, but maybe to use point, maybe people don't want that, and maybe that can steer us towards incorporation of technology and communications or meetings or whatever. Maybe things that we would have.
I do believe
Technology makes it a lot easier. So, but then that's why you ask the question, right? Then you find out where people's mindset are, or whatever. And if they go with the survey, obviously they got some degree of technology because they do an email.
To me, I take too much meaning out of the facial expressions and look in a person's eyes when they're talking to you, whether it's, you know, you don't get that over a computer screen.
So
You can be with many different people in the course of, so I understand both ways, but that's maybe why you ask the question, find out where people, how it works for them.
yeah, I like open-ended questions, I like the idea, I also, what I don't wanna see happen is, in an answer of, well, this person needs to do this, this, and this. Okay, you know, like, maybe, I have some questions like, what are the opportunities for our 4-H program? What do you care deeply about? What's successful and what's not been successful? You know, some of those, a little focused questions as well as, and what else do you wanna tell us, you know? So.
But I would list that, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you don't list it, a lot of people think they don't do it, but if it's listed, some may, most will, I think.
So, yeah, I can, what's today, the 6th? So, I think that I could certainly get something started, for sure, and I can, I'm happy, if anyone wants to work on it with me, I'm happy to work with you, or I can, send it out, and see where we are, so that by January, maybe we have some information, and then have some, in-person sessions as well. Get them all moving. I just scheduled a trip with my sister in January. Somewhere warm, just for a week. Out, but other than that, I can.
How much more warm do you want? It's gonna
I
be
know.
51 degrees
I
tomorrow.
know, that's what I heard, like, this isn't even wet, I needed to get really cold before the 3rd week of January, so.
No, hush.
And what?
You needed to rub that in.
I know, well, she just finished chemo, and so we said we would celebrate, so, whatever, I'll go to the Grand Caymans with you.
Oh,
I know, oh. All right,
That's
so.
what celebrate. How's she doing?
She's doing well, thank you, yes. Okay, so, I will do that, I have an email ready to go to the leaders president, just to say like, hey, we're ready to move forward, but I didn't wanna do all that without conversation with all.
Appreciate that.
So, Yeah, so you all can be thinking who might wanna be on the interview committee with me too. Cause I don't ever do it alone, you know.
I did it once.
John's like, not it, not it.
You did a great job.
Yeah, the only other thing is the contract,
Yeah,
so.
then we, you mind if we put them between this and the contract?
Or you can sign it, it's been approved. You,
Please, we haven't said nothing.
it's the only other thing I have.
No, Robin?
Keep going.
Okay.
So it actually says this
If I
is,
have to, and if I get volunteered for it again, I'm more than happy to do it again.
you loved it last time.
I did, it was a very good experience.
Well, you all have some time to decide that and nominate people or whatever you wanna do, but I would like to get things going, and kind of scoped out, I would say maybe by the end of January, so that we can get it posted. I have had some people reach out and say, hey, I'm interested in this position, and then they'll say, oh, but wait, is it gonna be part-time? How do you know if you're interested or not? There's nothing posted, we don't know what's happening. So, but I do think there will be people who said they were interested.
Reached out to me and I gave.
Okay. Good. I'm happy to have conversations with people.
I don't wanna stay this way we have.
Is, of the Blue Hills Equestrian Pony Club to provide opportunities for the youth and adults of Rusk County to learn about horses through education, mounted and unmounted lessons, which means riding or not riding, sportsmanship, leadership, and stewardship while having fun experiences with fellow riders and horses. So that's what our mission is. Our club was organized in 2018. We are a nonprofit through the state of Wisconsin. Right now we have, or this past year, we had 19 youth members, ages 5 through 18, and 5 adult members. And there's Robin, we're at the fairgrounds and we're doing the national anthem, and she's holding the flag at one of our competitions. In January, we get together on Wednesdays and Saturdays to do our unmounted lessons. I take care of the educational part for all the study sessions. Robin does hold mounted lessons for those that can handle the cold weather. Not everybody can. But basically our study sessions prepare them for their certification exams through the national board, our regional quiz rally, and the regional everything but the horse rally, which we can talk more about that. But okay, so in February, we still do our study sessions. Our regional club, which is Northern Lakes Regional, they hold a D retreat, which is a program. It's a Saturday in February, and basically the kids go there and they learn about all the things that can do with Pony Club, all the different competitions, all the stuff they can learn, anything they want to learn about Pony Club. They go there and they have booths for them. They go through all the booths to learn about it. We also do an annual meat raffle run fundraiser for our club. The fundraiser helps us pay for our regional dues for all the riders, all the not just rider but members. Some people don't ride. And if we have like clinicians, we try to keep it so that way the funds benefit everybody in the whole club. BHEPC stands for Blue Hills Equestrian Pony Club. We actually held our own everything but the horse rally at Troutville Stables in March here. And we had quite a crew. We had, I think there was 17 of us all together. Basically what this is the kids learn about going to a rally without having their horse. Because when we start the rallies like in June, and it's a lot of work with horses. So we do this program. The region also holds it for them, but we held it for our own selves, just to help the kids get ready for the real deal. We still do our weekly unmounted and mounted lessons, and then we also held a mock quiz rally. Quiz rally is another rally that the kids have opportunity to go to that is unmounted, and it is a kids have opportunity to go to that is unmounted, and it is a national competition that they can qualify for. So we held one, or the regional held theirs, and we took a group of kids. We took 2 teams in quiz rally. That rally is held in Minnesota. Okay. At our rally, we we had 3 teams, so this is just showing you that we had the Redneck Farmers, the Mixed Match, and the Hybrid SS Triple T. The boys like their Redneck Farmers slogan, so anyways, this is just showing some of the competition they did, some of the awards that they won. We also gave out, I'm sorry. I can't read those awards, but I can't think of it right now, I'm sorry. It's like a leadership award. In April, we still continue our unmounted lessons, and then the regional held their end of the horse rally and the quiz rally. This shows one of the track girls. And at that rally, they have to have a little fake horse they bring with them to represent the real horse. This is just some of the awards that they had won. These are our teams that went. That rally was held at the Leatherdale University of Minnesota. Where they go for that. And okay, in May we did a conservation project. We all got together and we cleaned with the Flammable Riders. We cleaned the trails out at Copper Mines. So we spent the day doing that. We had 2 different teams, and we did a morning one and an afternoon one. We had a pop-up, kind of made it fun for everybody. We also hold our awards banquets for the kids, and our meat raffle drawing is on Memorial Day weekend. So we do that. You can move on forward, please. So this is just some of the stuff that was very hot. Our mission was to clean any debris and fallen trees from the equestrian trails that fall during the winter months, so we could have safe trail riding for everyone that used the trails. This is at the Memorial Park. We held our awards banquet, our raffle drawing, our meat raffle drawing. In June here, we really get into riding and stuff, and we start doing we end unmounted lessons, and we just go forward with the mounted lessons, and then just continue to get prepared for their certifications. In July, we also did the Blue Hills Special Petting Zoo. We've done that quite a few years now. They like doing that. And we also held a working equitation clinic and show at the Rusk County Fairgrounds at the last weekend of July. This is just some pictures of the parade and our petting zoo. This is our working equitation clinic. We actually brought in, we had 2 judges. One was from Florida, and she was great with the kids. And they actually had an actual show, and we had other people that came to the show also that weren't from our pony club. It was an open show. So this is just kind of pictures showing what we do at the fairground there. In August, we had some of the kids attended the Rusk County Fair through our pony club. And this is some of the awards that they had won. They had a great time. In September, we held our United States Pony Clubs Incorporated certification. Basically, the kids study and prepare for unmounted and mounted, and they have a national examiner, not a national examiner, that one, but they do have examiners come in and they test them. Basically, they're being tested both verbally and physically. And this is the kids. We had 13 kids and adults that participated in that program in that weekend. October, we have our annual meeting, and then we just get back to studying again. We start studying on Saturdays through December, and then get ready for next year. So, and that was kind of our year end.
So Robin's not here, but part of the agenda item is talking about the equipment at the fairgrounds. Do you know anything about that?
Well, we have to make a decision. I don't know what, we have our equipment in that one building, so we have to decide what if we're gonna leave it there or if we're going to take it out.
Cause that was supposed to have been done by today.
Yes.
That's what we're doing by today?
Yeah.
And some of the discussion we had was considering other portions of the fair and after use of that equipment. It can stay there. If it does, it becomes county owned. And everybody can use it then. And I did talk to Rich about it. We need to do nothing. It's just left there. If it's left there, then it becomes county.
And that was the thing, like we didn't care like when 4-H and stuff used it, like we were good with all that. So I I don't know where Robin's at with that, we haven't really, I guess I haven't sat down and discussed it with her. So, that's not good, I don't know what to tell you right now.
Yeah, well, she was told at the last meeting that if it's not gone, it becomes county property.
Yeah.
So, and she said she had talked to the Pony Club and there was no issues. The problem is the Pony Club has sole use of that building, and, it's not fair that, you know, any other entity that has sole use of the building out there has to pay for it. So, yeah, she was going to clean it up, you know, so the south part could be used by the maintenance department, and then take whatever she wanted that she, you know, that she didn't want to become county property, so.
And that was the understanding at the last meeting, was at least my understanding, tell me if I'm wrong, that, she was all right with that, and the biggest thing we had to do was talk to Rich and see if there was anything we had to fill out or sign, and he says no.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't really have, sadly, I have nothing really to say about it, cause I haven't really sat down and discussed it with her, so.
I'll reach out to her tomorrow and touch base, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, I do know that we're very thankful for, you know, the use of the Rusk County Fairgrounds. We are very thankful for that, because we are a nonprofit, we are a small club, and we do our best to keep things, like, one year we went and then we had to put new eye bolts in the stalls and stuff, like, we did that, you know, we try to keep things up to date as much as we can also, to help out down there too.
It's just, we want to avoid, you know, horses showing up the day of the fair and, oh, we're not gonna use those stalls, we need better this and that, and, you know, so projects need to be more involved if they're going to make requests like that.
Yeah.
Is there any further questions for Leah? That being heard, have you got anything else for us?
Not at this point, I know we wanna use the fairgrounds a couple more weekends, you know, in 2024, has Robin discussed anything with that, or?
I haven't sent up the news, it's all revised on the website, so she can turn it at any time,
Okay.
but, yeah, I have nothing penciled in, so if you know of potential dates, you know, cause now we're starting to have weddings out there, and which, granted, it shouldn't be a conflict, but if you guys have your large events and you're camping,
Yeah.
it would be a conflict, because the
Right.
weddings are now camping.
Right.
Too. So if you know dates, you know how to find me,
Okay,
you know the dates.
can I get back to you tomorrow then?
Yeah,
Yeah, I will do that.
sounds good.
The program looks like it's being wonderful, good opportunity for kids.
Well, it's been really good, we've had a lot of success, and the kids are learning so much, but it's not just about that, it's about leadership skills, and it's just about working together as a team, because Pony Club is really about doing teamwork, and it's really good for the kids to learn that. And also, like, not being on a horse, you know, people like that, so things like that.
Yeah, and those were beautiful pictures. A lot of times people think the fairgrounds only gets used during the fair, and that's so not true.
Yeah.
There's some wonderful things that happen, especially in the horse arena, all summer long.
And I think this year I like to put it more in the paper, so I don't think a lot of people are really aware of what we do.
Yeah.
So I kinda wanna put some stuff in the paper. I'm gonna work on that this year.
Blow your own horn there, a lot of horn.
Yeah.
Yep, and Bob at the radio is really good about announcing things too, if you email him, so.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay,
Thank you for coming.
yeah, thank you for having me.
Maybe the us is out there, I don't know, but my phone did not go off, so I
No, I
don't
know
think she's here.
Said she was coming, so I don't know what happened.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you guys.
well, thank you.
Sherman, has somebody got a copy to sign?
Yeah, they're signing already.
Oh, okay.
Can you just give them to Lois that she needs? Is it here? I thought I passed it around.
Well, we're looking okay on extension, I'll kill some time here while you find those.
You do have them.
Junior fairs, looking good. Anything, we have goes into non-lapsing. Fairgrounds, today it looks like 24%, but if we run this report again, it's not gonna look like that. Trails End, looking very good. The reason it looks like we're doing so well is because those maintenance transfers with mowing and things haven't happened yet, so no concerns budget-wise.
This week, we're on that. Yep.
I have some discrepancies on cell phone board. Page 2. Page 2 is the Verizon wireless for 1028. Verizon wireless for 8144. Is that the employee's number on the backside of that one?
I believe so.
225.
So there's, for circuit court, there's two. There's a MiFi and then there's a phone with data.
Why?
It's been questioned before, and, the response was, she's doing,
E-warrants.
there.
They're only supposed to be
Yeah.
signing one.
E-warrants, in security, so you can do it with this rather than coming into the courthouse. But the phone itself, the new phone she got to do this does have data, but, it's been brought up as property.
Okay, I looked into this and I went back to property and I looked at their minutes. And she was only approved for one or the other. And actually, she was approved for hotspot, if I'm correct.
Long ago, and then late after that,
It was
she can,
implemented back on without anybody knowing. IT just put it back on. I never seen it come here. Property never seen it.
No, it's not okayed by property, it's nowhere in the minutes.
So now we just add it back on and we pay.
I stopped doing the Verizon bill a couple months ago, so I'm not gonna.
Well, I looked at the Verizon bill right here.
Yeah, well, I can pull it all up, yeah.
I got it up.
In the past, before I stopped doing it, there was two. There was the phone and there was a MiFi. And I never knew that the MiFi was shut off.
It's because she didn't have very good reference to
Yep.
MiFi.
Yep.
So that's when they said, we'll go to the hotspot. Well, the hotspot must not be working, so now we went back to the hotspot and MiFi. So now we're paying for two. And the minutes in the property say one. So IT went ahead and did this on their own.
I remember the conversation we had here, and I remember she said, well, there's money in the budget, so.
Ain't no money on her budget.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know anything.
Well, okay, so is the usage data on the MiFi expensive, or, I mean,
When I
does it
was,
take a lot of gigabytes to sign these?
I used to do, summaries of all of the usage, and the usage on that was off the charts.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, 23,000.
There was two, there was, the forester at the time, and then there was hers, that was
It's
unreal usage.
Here's one for usage of 274,000 gigabytes. Are you kidding me? The whole family use it? Last one was 23. Last one was 13. 6,000. 10,000. 27. 28. 65.
You said
And then 274, yeah.
It's gotta be in here, cause it's.
Well, I think it's like 65 gigabytes, 27.
Yep, so the last time I did this
The
little
only thing
summary
is
thing
it doesn't take that much to
was
use to sign.
in May, and I have usage back to, 2022, so, I think I hit some cells, I hit a lot of cells, but anyway, there's a huge summary out there of all the usage, but it was off the charts, and it was I sent this out to a lot of people.
I guess so my question is how do we get to the bottom of this for paying for 2 cell phones?
I think it needs to get referred back to property, you know.
Well, then, do you have to make a motion with that, or what?
We can do an addendum in the morning.
There, back to 2021, you can see all of the usage. But yeah, it's always been
With
a
the same,
huge amount.
This year, right?
with the same phone run for the. With the same phone run for the drug court side of it too, because there's 2 of them that are doing on 2, the 4614.
No, the drug court phone hits the drug court budget.
Yeah, yeah.
So that one's kind of like a, whatever, I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
What do you mean it's not? So that,
But there's 2 charges for it.
It says telephone.
so one is for her phone number and one is for the phone number of the MiFi.
Yes.
Oh,
Yep, my fives have phone numbers.
Alright, now. So you have to pay for the phone and for the Wi-Fi. So then why? Let's see, why then?
So then back to the other one,
The other one.
for 110,
Is that just the usage charge? 110 and 8147?
110 now, is it? Back? 110 now.
Is that just for whatever gigs they use for that?
82, so yeah, 183 cents.
Then there's one for 8147.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
76, 710. Actually, I take that back, I think there's different ones.
Do we not want to sign these until we clarify it?
Well,
Hey,
it's already been, yeah.
I guess we need.
But I think a motion to send it back to property is in order to.
I would like to make a motion to send this bill or back to property and reiterate one my Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi or hotspot, one or the other. And how does IT just
Yeah.
implement that without anybody knowing? Yeah, I'm making that motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion's been made and seconded. To send this back to property for clarification. Any further questions? None being heard, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I went to property.
I would entertain a motion to pay the bills. Motion is made, is there a second? Second by Mr. Kudo. Is there any other questions on the bills other than what has been presented? None being heard, all in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries to pay the bills. What is it, third?
So we'll have the first and second off and boom, back in action.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
That's all.
Motion's made and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
I didn't say aye. Just kidding.